May 13th, 2020. Understanding macroeconomic trends. So, with the rise of our need to fight off biological weapons, biological diseases, viruses, how does human behavior change? How does the market react to that? How does personal preferences change? It's very important to know that we will do whatever we can to fight off biological weapons. What that means in creating chemical weapons to sanitize ourselves constantly. And I mean, at one point you might say we are destroying our immune system. We're trying to protect ourselves in whatever way we can. And this goes farther than just vaccines. This goes to pretty much anything. Just imagine yourself at the gym. There'll be mandatory requirements for you to wipe down all machines, clean yourself constantly. Just imagine yourself in a dystopian world where hygiene and cleanliness is like a forced standard set by the government. What are the downsides of this now? First things, I mentioned this before, your immune system is going to absolutely be destroyed. For the most part, if you're someone living in society, because your immune system is getting so weakened by constantly killing all bacteria, what is this? First, leads you susceptible to a disease in the future, right? What are you trying to prevent? Is going to come back and bite you in the end. Why do I argue this? Because of anti-fragility, first of all. Human bodies, nature in general, we are anti-fragile in the sense that when something attacks us, our immune system specifically, our immune system has to fight it off. And if it doesn't win, then we lose. But we fight it off and we get stronger. And by not building that kind of immunity to these kind of things in the future, it's be a very, very bleak future of humanity. Downsides of increased protection towards sanitation and cleanliness. First things first, the amount of waste that humans will produce in the next few years will be unprecedented. And I'm not talking about plastic, I'm talking about overall pollution, overall waste in terms of cleaning supplies, paper products. It's going to be ridiculous. I can't even imagine how much it's going to be. First things first, if you can provide a solution, not necessarily converting it to energy is a very difficult process, and a lot of energy will be used in that. However, if you can find a way to use this waste, create a solution, that's golden. There's going to be so much fucking waste in this world. It's going to be incredible. You can't understand why futuristic movies talk about how we have to destroy the world of human beings, because they're the ones who are actually destroying nature and planet Earth. It's a very, very brilliant analogy, and what the world will be like in a few years will be kind of crazy. I do think that human behavior will change. We won't really see crowded events as normally as something that we would have saw before, because we are so susceptible to viruses, something that nature created, and because of this fear that has placed itself, I think young kids are always going to be reckless, but that's something that the generation after, think about babies that are growing up into coronavirus right now. Their generation, they will culturally shift, and they will not want to put themselves in susceptible environments. First things first, the immune system will be very, very weak, just based off of how the government is imposing restrictions. But they will not necessarily want to put themselves in places where they're very crowded, and you'll see that generational shift. Most important key takeaways from how this pandemic is affecting us. Consumer behavior is going to change in so many ways. And why is this? It's important to know that changing consumer behavior is one of the most difficult things to do. Just imagine trying to convince people to no longer use iPhones, to no longer use smartphones. Almost an impossible task. We've adapted to it so much. The only way you can really change it is if everyone gets affected. And this is what a pandemic does to you. Everyone gets affected. So now you have to change in consumer behavior. Obviously, the analogy was not for phones, but just the way that we use for shopping, right? That's one example. So retail, of course, that if that demise did not happen 5 years ago, it's happening now. That's very important, because people, why waste time going to a store trying it on? If anything, technology is going to be so innovative. The people who are able to create ways to show that you can try your clothes on at home, not necessarily shipping it today, but using technology, holograms, whatever it might be, it'll be incredible, absolutely incredible. So it'll be a new wave of shopping. And so there are definitely people who are doing e-commerce, and those people will be extremely successful, unbelievably successful, especially teaching you how you can make your product above, because everyone's going to want to do e-commerce. Now, you don't need to have a brick and mortar, $1 million store to sell something. You can just go online and ship it for free from China or something. So it's incredible how many people will compete. Is that necessarily a good thing? Now the downside is that because you have so much in a capitalist world, competition is an amazing thing. Why? Because it allows for prices to decrease. Because there's so many suppliers at this point. Here are my downsides with competition. I think that at the end of the game, whenever you have competition for something, and the end goal is money or status, you're always going to find people who will do whatever it takes. There are no morals in competition. So that's the one downside. I am a little fearful of that. But that's something so much farther down the line. As long as you know that competition will definitely increase. That's when it comes to shopping. How will it change when it comes to things like basic staple goods? Coffee. It's actually impressive how strong Starbucks has been, and they're adapting so well. Especially when it comes to creating goods that you can make at your home, like home brews. Oh, it's actually unbelievable. I think Starbucks is really such a brilliant brand, because what their main thing was buying coffee at a store or buying coffee that they made. But now you can make their own store, and they're brilliant in how they do that. I think it's very important. It's very important to look at how food will change too. One staple of eating out, that was seen as a luxurious thing. I really wonder how that'll change. You definitely have had those subscription services where they'll send you food to your mailbox. Blue Apron and something of that sort. That'll be interesting to see if people will move towards that kind of avenue. Now, the only downside is I don't think that gives you that kind of luxurious feel, because you have to cook it yourself. So someone who wants to experience the luxury and the lifestyle of having someone prepare a meal for you and give you that full experience, how do you do that in a world where you're so fearful of sanitation requirements? And things of that sort. Maybe you have a delivery chef, a chef that comes and cooks at your home. Maybe that's what it is. But creating moods, I think it's so important. If so many people are staying home, they're staying so remote, they're staying so local. You have to be able to change your environment without actually leaving your environment. So how do you do that? You have to be able to change your moods. And so that may seem kind of abstract. But let me give you an example. So following off the dinner analogy, creating a romantic mood. So you'll notice suppliers, people who are selling things that can make your home feel more alive and creating that rich environment. So candles, things like lights and setting the mood for a romantic night. That's one thing. But at the same time, setting the mood in a like an upbeat, like a bar, like a club setting, those are also going to increase as well. But what else is there? So just noticing that people will make their homes and the place that they live adaptable to many environments, and so you'll see an increase in buying products to fit that niche, that market. Because why risk going to a club? Why risk going out to dinner when you can take those things to you? You can bring those things to your home. If anything, recreate those experiences. Those are major ones. So my thesis is again that I think that the consumption and that waste will increase dramatically, and by figures that we can't fully comprehend. Of course, the environment has rebounded really well in these past 2 months, just because people aren't really driving anywhere. It's also interesting. It's also very interesting to note how transportation will be affected. Very, very important to note that, because let's say people are no longer taking the daily commute, right? People will be spending as much money on cars, because why make that kind of investment if you're not going to be spending so much time in it? You'll see more likely that people will spend more time or money in the places that they live. Do you see a deglobalization of cities from now? I think is kind of tough to argue, because a lot of essential work that is required in like labor work will still require you to work at a construction factory. Whatever, that'll not go away. So you might have to live close to a city or within the area, but at least you'll see the inflation prices of cities to be the prices of cities in San Francisco, New York City, Chicago. All these prices are inflated, insane amount, and because of that, it makes it so that people who work like construction jobs, they actually can't even live in the city, or they live way below their means. So they have to live outside the city and take commutes. So you might see a moving out sort, because at one point cities were a huge thing. China has incredible cities, billions of people, billion people live in Shanghai, if I'm correct. That's one more important thing to know. You'll notice that the prices of apartments, of housing in those cities they were inflated for the past 10 years, and so now you'll see that come down. So it's important to note that as well. Now, when we were talking about transportation, especially with vehicles, because these past 2 months people aren't driving as much. CO2 emissions have gone down so much, and so we've seen nature rebound from that. Now, of course, transportation in the conventional way will probably decrease, but I don't believe waste in the general sense will just increase in incredible amounts, and it's so hard to fathom. So if you are able to take this waste that people use, people can dump in the ocean because they don't give a fuck about the environment. If you're able to take this waste that people are using, and you're able to find a solution, use it for something else, and not even just recycling it, either using it for energy, to channel into some other industry. I don't know what it could be. But if you're able to find a solution to that, wow, golden. It's incredible. The automotive industry will be fascinating. People still drive, of course. If you want to go see a film, you have to drive and take them somewhere, especially if you don't live in a city. Public transportation will be essentially important because once people start spending less money on cars, as you already know, people are taking Ubers more than ever now, and so you may see a trend towards that even more. I'm not driving every single day. Why spend my money on a vehicle when I can, because I'm not making that much of an investment with my own time. So you'll definitely see a trend towards taking that for Ubers, Lyfts, especially public transportation. I think the government can spend a lot of money on infrastructure for public transportation and making that electric, and that will something that positively benefit their citizens, because they're not using it every single day, but when they need to use it, they can have it. It's always available. So that's something important to know. I think the main takeaway of this is, again, of the amount of waste that people are going to create. Second takeaway is of how we are going to react from a consumer behavior perspective, and how sanitation is going to change everything. If the environments that we live in have to be so clean, and what's going to do is going to kill our immune system. You're gonna of course, you're going to see those quote unquote nut jobs who are going to do whatever they can to fight against this. They're gonna like breathe in people's coughs because they want to get the immune system strong. So you still have those people, but the large majority of people, the way they're going to react to uncleanliness will be really crazy. It'll be really crazy. So these is a short-term prediction I have, and a long-term prediction, especially the cultural change with how people who are growing up right now, how they'll view things like large crowds and unsanitary places. It'll be very, very fascinating.